Christie.
Chris.
Great to see you
I feel
again.
like we have to do that every time.
Yeah, and we haven't seen each other since last year, so I guess
Exactly.
great to see you again.
It does feel like a decade though.
It is. So it's just because so much happens in between. Like, things change on a weekly basis now in
Yes.
this industry. So
Yes. I feel like this month has been a full quarter all tucked in to one. Like, it's been so intense.
it does feel like that. I hope the whole year doesn't play out like that. Otherwise, it's going to be exhausting, and we would have aged the equivalent of 5 years by the end of the year. And
Yeah.
hopefully, that's not going to happen.
Yeah. Let's see. Hopefully we'll survive by the end of the year.
Yeah. But great to see you again.
Likewise.
I am excited to hear what new updates you have from what's happened so far this year.
Yes, it's been, as we said, it's been hectic. A lot of things going on. Everything from new U.S. administration to, we have a bit of a scare, I guess. A new welcome of a friend with AI coming into the scene on Monday at the end of this month with DeepSeek. So a lot of different things happening around technology that will influence the world of finance as well. So I don't even know where to begin. Like,
All right, so let's start. What's the thing that has struck you the most over the past 4 weeks in 2025?
well, one thing actually I thought was super interesting is, of course, X Money being launched by the platform X with Elon Musk and so forth. I thought that was really interesting. We've heard about it for a while. We know it's been coming. We know Meta is doing the same in India. They've also previously playing around in Asia. So, I'm not surprised, but it's going to be very interesting to see what's going to come. And we got the tease that more things are coming, more releases, more announcements are coming throughout the year around X Money. So that's probably one of the most recent news that really stood out to me.
Yeah, for me, when I read that, I was like, okay, it's happening. Now it's happening because if we look back at how fintech has evolved, we had in the 2016, 2015, the fintechs are coming, and then the banks didn't care. And it's like, okay, some kids playing in their garage. Then fintech started to gain some territory, and then suddenly we went from they're insignificant to okay, are they going to take away market share from the big incumbents? And then there was a little bit of a scare for a while, and then the bank said, okay, well, maybe we should buy them out so that they don't come and compete with us, but let's integrate them into our systems. But then we started hearing that Google Pay and Meta, Facebook at the time with Libra, and Amazon was starting to give out loans to SMEs. So suddenly the industry went okay, what's happening now?
Yeah.
And the fintechs they went from being okay, this annoying threat to okay, maybe this is a way to compete with big tech in case big tech decides to make a move into the space.
Yeah, you have the super apps, right? So it was the aspect of, are we actually going to see super apps in Europe and so forth? So,
True.
Yeah.
But now it's happening. I think with Elon must have been very clear that he always wanted to build disrupt the payment space and the financial services space, and now it's happening. I think this is the first step, and as you said, they announced that lots of other announcements are going to happen in 2025. What does that mean for the industry?
I think it's quite interesting because I look at most things, if not everything, from the people's perspective. It's one of the things that I really take dear to my heart as well with Pantrium, the podcast there. But when we look at the people, regardless of the technology and regardless of the millions of daily users there are on any platform, in this instance X, you still need the adoption from the consumer. Mm-hmm. Do they trust? Do they want to be there? Is it really in the life cycle of the consumer? Mm-hmm. Would they, in a natural day-to-day basis, also transfer money to their friends through a platform like X, just like we're seeing it's happening with WhatsApp? Mm-hmm. So I think that's going to be the really interesting element of this. It's the consumer, the adoption of the possibility to do this peer-to-peer payment. Yeah. Because of course the reach is there, the platform is there, they're going to go together with Visa. So the technology is there, but that's only so far. It only gets you so far if you don't have the adoption from the consumer to actually take it into practice and use it in their day-to-day life and get benefit and value from it, then it doesn't really matter. Then it becomes this very flashy thing in the corner on some nice, like on a nice shelf. A little bit similar to what we unfortunately have seen also very recently with HSBC's Sing app that was the challenger towards Monzo and Revolut, right? They unfortunately had to close after nearly a year. But again, it becomes, what's the value proposition? What's the purpose? What is it that it can solve for as a problem for the consumer? So I think I'm really looking forward to seeing what is it that X money can do that we don't have already today.
I think you might approach it in a slightly different way, because take a look at Revolut. Like Revolut, they've been focused on building their user base, and they've been doing lots of different things here and there, right? The money exchange and the credit cards, but since they launched, they've just been amassing customers, and now they have the customers. The question is, like, okay, if you have a really, really critical mass of customers that use your product on a regular basis, what will you offer them next? Because the issue is not, can we onboard customers? The issue is, can we have the customers, the millions of customers that we have already onboarded, to use this new functionality?
Let's smear them in so they never leave us.
Yeah. And it reminds me of, I always use this case because I love it. It's a company called KakaoTalk in South Korea. And then they were a messaging app. And you know, South Korea, they use all these really cute emojis, and they used to send pictures to each other, and the cute little bunnies, and they basically, they had like a ridiculous penetration in the market. Like 80% of all Koreans use KakaoTalk. And then one day they said, what else can we do for our customers? What else can we offer them? And as you do, they went and applied for a banking license. And then they started offering proactive customer loans.
As you do, I love that.
As you do, yes, of course. Like, what else can we do with our customers?
With our money and time, then getting a banking license.
Why not? Yeah. And what was remarkable about them is that they started to proactively offer customers personal loans. Hey, we know you use our platform every day. Here's a pre-approved personal loan of 5 million won. I don't know how much that is in euros, but let's say it's not a huge amount, right? Let's say like 500 euros. And then people said, okay, well, that sounds cool. I trust this company. I use them all the time. Within a quarter of launching their service, they captured 42% of the personal loan market in South Korea.
Wow.
So if X manages to do just half of that, because X it's massive, right? We're not, at least KakaoTalk was only used in South Korea. X is used globally. So I think this is going to be very, very interesting.
It's definitely going to be fun to follow and see also how it actually will disrupt, perhaps, and open doors for new possibilities with that relationship with the consumer, with the user. And to your point, show up in the right way and support them. I think it's going to be interesting to see how does that play with the safetiness, fraud, with data. That's going to be quite interesting to see how are they going to navigate that, because that's complex regardless of who and where you are in the world.
And perhaps maybe speculate a little bit, what will be the competitive response from some of the other large schemes? Because I think a move like that, it elicits a response from companies like American Express, like MasterCard, like Discover is more based in the US, but I think it's the game's on, right?
It definitely is. It definitely is. It's going to be very interesting. So let's see. Let's pick that up in one of our future episodes. And do a little bit of a retrospective of what happened since today in terms of end of January 2025.
Yeah, and I suspect that we're going to be coming back to X quite regularly, especially if what they say is true, that they will be announcing quite a lot of new services, financial services this year. I think we'll keep coming back to them.
Yeah, and let's see. I'm sure they will focus on the US first, and then let's see when and where else. South America, I could imagine, will be the next step.
Could be.
Perhaps Asia. Let's see. But also then with the new friendship there with Donald Trump, let's see what's going to happen there. It might be just US only, because would they want to just say, we take care of our own, right? And we do more, and we don't necessarily want to bring that opportunity out to Europe, perhaps. I don't know.
But that's true. Like I think if you look at WhatsApp, WhatsApp Pay has remained almost exclusively in India. They have a pretty large market there anyway. It's not like they need to go anywhere else. But it's been, we haven't seen that in Europe. and maybe some of these other payment services that have been done through social media have remained quite localized in some markets. So let's see. Let's see. Very exciting.
Do a little pin there.
Yes, we'll revisit. All right, DeepSeek.
DeepSeek.
What's happening? Have you used it? Have you tried to use it?
Actually, I have not had the time. I have seen a lot of kind of posts about it and screenshots from it and so forth. I have not been one of the many that have downloaded the app already. But I did actually also see the IBM have already announced their partnership with DeepSeek, and you can now use them with their Watson. So it's definitely out there, and I think it's going to be very interesting to see how much market share and how competitive it is on a just adoption perspective.
Yeah.
And I'm sure I was not, I'm sure that many saw this in regards to the Nvidia shares and how it was being hit as well, because suddenly there's the question about how many chips do you need and so forth. So I thought it was very interesting, but also what does that actually mean for the industry? Now you can do more or less the same as you can with ChatGPT and OpenAI, but cheaper.
Way cheaper.
Exactly, way cheaper. And what does that even mean for smaller startups?
Yeah.
Bearing in mind also that OpenAI come out and say actually they probably have priced it wrong with the caption, with the pricing of OpenAI. So will we also see some price increases? Or are they going to just scratch that now because of DeepSeek? So
let's hope so, because I think that as a consumer that benefits us quite a lot.
Yeah.
I did try to use DeepSeek.
How was it?
I was not able to get it to load. It's apparently the demand that it sparked is not. They were not expecting it, and it cannot deal with the amount of requests. So it just keeps trying to load, and it just doesn't load.
Feedback, more volume.
More servers, yeah.
More servers.
But I think just the news exploded and everyone went to the web to try to play with it, and it's crashed.
Yeah.
When we're talking about agentic AI, this is something that we're looking at in as a small company as well. It's almost like unbelievably efficient.
Yes.
So looking a little bit about how can we use agents from DeepSeek to automate some of the processes.
Yeah.
It really changes almost everything you do operationally, because if you have an AI agent that understands you, that learns from how you reply to emails, how you complete tasks, that just basically learns from your daily tasks, how much of that could you just put onto an agent to do unsupervised or with minimum supervision? I think at least 80%.
But also help you organize thoughts and information that comes in, whether through documents or reports or your email threads or whatever it might be. But it can be able to help you facilitate structure of all this new knowledge that you're gathering and figuring out when is certain things relevant in certain situations. So I think I personally use it a lot as well in terms of Copilot and ChatGPT and so forth, just to kind of bring in my perspective, challenging it, having a conversation, figuring out back and forth what is it that I'm looking for, also in research, and I find it so useful. I see it really as like an assistant to myself and in my work. I did, however, see Royal Unibrew. They have done a post on social media that humanizes their AI tools as part of their marketing teams. Okay. And I thought this was really interesting, because why do we want to humanize an enabler, a technology that just supports the means to an end? We didn't do that with our CRM systems. So why is it that we, for some reason, categorize AI as this human, also because we use the word assistant, we humanizes the technology, and I find it really interesting. And I'm not sure actually it's a good thing, because now we're starting to see, which I believe is going to happen this year, we're going to see the mistrust in everything we see and observe, social media, every sort of format and outlet, because is it actually from a person or is it not? It almost takes the journalist's authority the question about authority, a question about journalism versus just a regular writer a couple of years ago to a whole new level. And I think that's going to be interesting to see as we see the adoption of AI increasing. I also think that comes with a certain mistrust out in the society of those that don't sit with it like we do. We are so intertwined into using it versus the everyday person.
Well, at some point in the discussion with Web3, we were talking about trustless systems, right? That systems that don't require to put trust in any single individual because they will be run by smart contracts. But I think with the advent of AI, especially generative AI for certain uses like video and content generation, I think we're heading in a direction where we will live in societies where there's so much cognitive effort going into thinking, is what I'm seeing real? Is it generated by an AI? Is it not? That it will get to the point where it will be just easy to distrust everything. So we're going from a trustless society to a no trust society whatsoever. And rightly so, right? If you can now generate with some of the latest runway models that generate text to video that are just so realistic, maybe video just will become a form of entertainment. The news will become a form of entertainment, and you will take that as, okay, I'm being entertained, but I'm not necessarily being informed.
Yeah.
Two things can happen. Either it just becomes anarchy and we all distrust everything we see, or there will be some Uber lord somewhere that will say, no, I will tell you what is real and what is not, which is just a play for tyranny, right? So I don't see there anything in between, because how else can you possibly tell whether what you're watching is factual, is real, or is it just someone with great skills of using AI technologies?
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting. And I think also that's where that human connection will come in to play even more, because then we see people, we speak to them, we know who they are, we start trusting that person. So whatever comes out of their channels is going to be trusted by me because I've actually met them. They're alive, they are real. So I think that human interaction is going to be more and more valued in the future, more so than what we probably saw just on the other side of the pandemic, where everyone was like, I can work from home, everything is good, I don't need to see anyone, actually don't want my cameras on, where now we want to go into the office, we want to meet people, we want to be engaged, we want to be inspired by meeting other people. So I think it's going to be very, very interesting how that hybrid setup is going to have a new definition, I think.
Yeah, that's actually very interesting. I don't know if you caught this recently, but in Spain, young people are so fed up with dating apps that they develop new ways of meeting each other. And the way they are doing it now is that from 6 to 7, they go to a particular supermarket chain. And it's hilarious. You see videos online of this supermarket just completely packed with youngsters with their trolley, and basically based on what they put on their trolley, they're signaling to others what they're interested in.
No, that's so funny. But I hope they buy that stuff as well.
I don't know, actually, I hope they do. But they were interviewing like people that had not caught on to the trend, and they were like, I don't understand why there's so many young people here. I should probably come at a different time, because every single day at this time the supermarket is filled with people, and it's people that are craving that real person interaction where they get to see people face to face. They need to get to talk to them face to face. It's a very, very strong departure from let's connect online and let's chat for a while. I was very encouraged to see that, actually. It was quite interesting.
That is really funny. I think we're gonna see that the human connection, and I think also again it's about going back to the enabler, right? Technology is purely just something that support us in our end to get to the end goal. Rather that being buying a house simply, and I get an assistant to support me in my journey to get there. But it should not become, at least in my opinion, it should not become its own little person, because it's just there to help the journey being faster for the customer to get to that endpoint faster and smoother. And yeah, so it's going to be interesting to see how also with the customer experience, the expectations, personality, being more personalized. Everything has to be on my premise, when and where, and in tone of voice that I understand, and so forth. It's going to be very interesting to see how that is. There must be an aspect of those storytelling and how you show up to reflect that person, but still in a human way, so it doesn't become mundane and just one big flare of stuff. And I think that's where probably also the great AIs are gonna, or AI users are gonna lack versus those that really are superb at using AI tools. Because you would still need to make sure it's as personal and relevant for that person. You can't just do it for the mainstream.
Yeah.
So you need to try and figure out how do you balance AI and using automation to do more with less, but also understanding when is it important to show up in person and have that interactive one-to-one, more advisory consultancy role. And understanding the balance between the two, and when is it important to show up in person or have a deeper personal human-to-human interaction versus automating, doing things, welcome email versus let me advise you on something deeper level, personalized for my consumption in one way or form. I think that balance would need to be struck.
And let me ask you, so would you trust an AI agent to represent you, to act on your behalf, to send emails on your behalf, to schedule meetings on your behalf?
I think I'm not the right person to ask, because I would say yes, please. Because again, it's like that is a process that should just happen and be done. So it leaves me more time for more important things in terms of me going out to meet people, engage with people, create value. Setting up a call or arranging or replying to emails, depending on what it is, might not be where the real value lays.
Right.
So I would say yes.
Yeah, I agree. I think if you had an agent and I had an agent and I say, schedule a meeting with Christie, then my agent should communicate with your agent. They should negotiate and find the most appropriate time for both of us to meet. Then we don't have to worry about it.
Enhanced Calendly, that would be nice.
Yeah, exactly. An enhanced Calendly. I think we still lose a lot of time saying like, when are you available? Okay, let's find. Especially when it's a meeting with various different people. It's still. Yeah. Okay. For that, I would definitely trust it. One of the things that we're doing at Nordic Fintech Magazine is that we're using a lot of automation tools like Make, where you basically get APIs with different modules, and then you take data from one system to the module, and then you pass it on to another system, and we integrated ChatGPT to that, and that's worked really well. You say this data, give it to ChatGPT, and ChatGPT use this data for this, and output it and put it into a Google Sheet, and then put it from a Google Sheet, put it into Canva, and then put it into the website.
Yeah.
And we've managed to automate that beautifully.
Nice.
But the difference that DeepSeek brings is that instead of using a module with ChatGPT where it generates some text or an image or whatever, it reasons. So it's able to take information that is ambiguous and use stochastic models to say, well, the probability that this is what this is about is 60%. That's good enough. So I will take this course of action based on a deterministic model that tells me that this is highly likely to be the case of what we're talking about.
Yeah.
That's where I don't know if I would trust it.
No.
I would need to review. I think I would need to check it first before I say, yeah, okay, you got it right. Go ahead.
Also because it depends on how sensitive that ask is. Because otherwise you will end up in situations that you can't really come out of, right? Or you have said something horrible to someone because, or shared something you should not have shared, or, it can go down very nasty routes.
That makes for pure gold in social media posts. Like,
yeah.
This is how the agent, where it went wrong, and then there's a lot of channels dedicated to that.
Do not do this. I think it's gonna,
That's very exciting. Well, let's try it. Let's try to get onto this DeepSeek.
Yes.
And next time we meet, we can compare notes.
Yes, then we compare
Hopefully
notes.
we'll be able to access it.
Yes, let's try DeepSeek, wherever you are.
Yeah. All right, what else?
What else? IPO.
Yes.
IPOs.
Yes.
Things are happening. So, we of course have seen the Draghi report last year. It talks about the lack of competitiveness in Europe, and there needs to be more investment and so forth. And now you're starting to see the strategies coming out regarding, we need to invest more, what we can do, blah, 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 all these great things. But I think it's very interesting to see how, for example, Klarna is doing and has been doing for a while now activities to get themselves ready for an IPO. That's going to be really interesting to see what actually happens. I'm still a bit on the unknown. Like, is it an interest for a unicorn or a big startup to actually enter the market? Or would they be better off being private? I just saw there was an interview with Bloomberg the other day where they were basically saying, don't do it.
Yeah.
Stay private. You're way better off. So I find it really interesting. Why are they, what's the pros and cons? Still to be educated on that, a bit of a journey I'm just curious about. And then you have, of course, Pleo, on the Danish side, have been talking about wanting to go IPO. Now they're pulling back a bit, wanting to be focusing more on growth and revenue and the health of the organization versus just the end goal of an IPO. So let's see. It might also be that they're going to divert into a different course. Who knows? But things on that side is happening.
Yeah, that's very interesting because we've also seen Revolut at some point toying with the idea of going to an IPO. They just received 100 million investment from Ireland, and there's a very relevant question. Like, okay, IPO, yeah, you might get high valuations on your shares, and that benefits shareholders, people that have equity. But both you and I have worked in publicly listed companies, and we know that one of the first things that you lose is control, because now the future of the company is determined by the market.
Yeah.
So if you want to do experimental things, if you want to take the company on, you really can't. You can't, because the share price now is what rules.
It can be influenced, right? And it can cost a lot of money if you bet on the wrong horse or too creative, I suppose. You could ask the question, how's Klarna going to change on the other side? Let's say that they are going to be successful with the IPO. How's that going to change the way of running their business? Yeah. Because that will put it very black and white in a way. What is the difference prior and post? And you could almost say, I know it's not the same, but as Luna got their banking license, how were they acting? What was their marketing? What was their approach, their strategy, their behavior post that banking license versus now?
It's a new responsibility, but also it's strings attached, I think. And if you look at Klarna, for example, Klarna has toyed around with lots of different things. Buy now, pay later, like a payment supplier, like a bank. At some point, they thought, okay, well, let's become like a retailer, and let's be the one, like, let's use our partnerships as a gateway to the retail space.
And they also wanted to go open banking.
But all those things have been possible because they've had autonomy.
Yeah.
Because they've had people in their boards and in their executive team saying, let's try this, and they say, yes, let's go for that. I think that's not always the case when you're a publicly listed company. Then the CEO is charged to making sure that the stock price remains and climbs. If that doesn't happen, then the CEO loses their job. So. Yeah. It's an interesting dynamic. I don't know if going public is always the best approach. I think if you listen to what Jeff Bezos said at some point when it came to investment, right? Because he was looking for very, very patient investors, and he used to call it cheap money. And he said, we don't want cheap money. We want people that are on board with our vision, that are patient, that have the long view in sight, and those are the only ones whose money we're accepting. So I think that's a complete antithesis of the market. The market is fast, here and now. I want to cash out as soon as possible type of investment. So I don't know if it's not that I'm an expert in this, but I would say that I like that companies can retain their control and their ability to experiment and try new things. So anything that hinders that is probably not a good thing in my book.
Yeah, definitely.
But what do I know?
What do I know?
What do I know?
Observations from the market. That's what we're sharing.
Yeah, indeed. So February.
Yes, February.
Some big things are happening in February. Stockholm Fintech Week is just a few days away.
Yes, it is. I am super excited. Are you excited? Not quite yet. You will be.
I will be. I'm actually looking forward to resting after that because it's been an arduous process. But I'm delighted. We have some amazing speakers coming. We managed to get some really cool speakers. Chris Skinner is going to be opening the conference.
Brilliant.
We have Cecilia. Fahlberg, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, from the Tinder Swindler Netflix documentary.
Yeah,
She's going to be on stage sharing her plight with romance scams.
Oof.
Yeah, no, it's unmissable.
Great.
Full of really provocative topics. I think we've set out an ambition to not shy away from the difficult and controversial conversations.
I love that.
So hopefully there will be quite a lot of that. And then just basically another opportunity to meet the entire ecosystem coming down into Stockholm for a couple of days.
Yeah, what's not to like?
What's not to like, yes.
It's going to be exciting. I'm looking forward to it. And also one thing that I am a big fan of is the Women's Speaking Initiative. Like, let's get more women on those stages, sharing their expertise and their observations and knowledge and inspire everyone else as well in the room. More diversity, more fresh opinions across the board. I think is so important. So I think that's a great initiative that's coming to fruition there as well.
Yeah, Stockholm Fintech is actually hosting a side event, Women in Fintech. I don't think it's reserved exclusively for women. And we have...
even more important.
Yeah, we have an amazing, the COO of Capital Box has kindly agreed to lead the session and to share some of her experience. She loves mentoring other professionals in the field, so when I asked her if she would be willing to just host that session, she immediately said yes, this is a great opportunity. So, yeah.
Awesome.
Very exciting stuff.
No, it's going to be really good. I'm looking forward to it as well.
Yes, so then I guess we'll see you there in a couple of weeks.
I will see you in Stockholm next time. Yeah,
very
absolutely.
Good.
And also, we will see each other back, probably not on this screen share, but somewhere else at the end of February, where we will be covering what was the big highlights from the Stockholm Fintech Week.
From Stockholm Fintech Week.
Among other things.
We'll be discussing DeepSeek. See if we manage to get on it.
Yes.
And let's see what happens with X.
Yes.
All right.
We'll stay in touch.
Christie, thank you so much. Great seeing you again. I will see you in a couple of weeks in Stockholm.
Absolutely.
Awesome.